Look at the person to your left, and the person to your right, and the person behind you, and the person in front of you. Everybody repeat after me. We are all different. We're all learn something from each other. Wave your arms wildly if you choose to learn from others. Compliment the attractive people around you and say how happy you are to be here today. Do or die, or DI. Chances are you're already doing it. So why is ESL important? I have two very important reasons. First of all, it's important to know English for safety reasons. I always stress to students you need to learn how to read labels carefully. All kinds of pitfalls out there that can a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of litigation in America. As a matter of fact, 95% of all lawsuits filed on the planet are filed right here in the United States. So that means that if you ever look at packaging, there's always labels on packaging with all these disclaimers, and I don't have much of a social life, so I spend most of my free time reading packages. So here are some of my favorite labels I've read. This was on packaging for a woman to iron. Do not iron clothes on body. Always a very good idea. This is on a bottle of children's cough medicine. Do not drive a car or operate machinery after taking this medication. So I tell my kindergartners, I'll give you the medicine kits, just promise me you won't drive yourselves anywhere after this. This was on a Japanese food processor, not to be used for the other use. If that does not make me curious about the Japanese, I do not know what will. I'm on airplanes all the time. This is on an American Airlines packet of nuts. It said, instructions, open packet, eat nuts. Have we really become that stupid in America? I called over my flight attendant and I asked her, what's step 3? And she didn't return to my seat the rest of the flight. Finally, at Halloween, I saw this on a child's Superman costume. Wearing this garment does not enable you to fly. Promote the development of a broad range of skills and interests incorporating all senses. For example, create awesome classroom libraries. I love it. I have a whole bunch of reading specialists in here. This is my passion, is building classroom libraries. You need to know something about me. I'm a highly competitive person. When I became a teacher, I didn't want to be a good teacher. I wanted the school to be named after me. I wanted the superintendent erecting statues throughout the district in my honor. I wanted every other kid at my school at my window going, I want to be there! Making your classroom library cooler than when you walk this chocolate factory. It has to appeal to the touch. Once I started teaching little ones, I learned it was a good idea to be on my knees from time to time to make sure everything was accessible to them. It has to be visually appealing. I want my classroom library so visually appealing, my ADHD kids are sitting there all day going, I want to read library. Spray some Lysol or brew some coffee in that classroom so it doesn't smell like vomit and urine in there. Let the kids eat and drink while they read. I like to eat and drink while I read. What I'm trying to do is create a sensory experience where the kid always associates reading with relaxation, and always let the kids listen to music while they read. And always let the kids pick the music while they read. And I don't care if you're teaching 12th graders, 7th graders, or 4th graders. The first 3 weeks they're always going to pick out hip-hop, American Idol, American Top 40 stuff. After 3 weeks, they always prefer instrumental pieces. Classical, jazz, blues, mariachi, nature music, woo, that kind of stuff. Future friend. Write down today's date, February 10th, 2011. I predict in the future, folks, these computers, they're going to be big. It's amazing I still see people in education not using their computers. If you don't understand how to use it, ask a 5-year-old. Because they'll be able to show you. There are so many amazing tools. I found this awesome website. I want you to write it down right now. I found it yesterday. It's called Google. Now, most people just type things in this box. They ignore all the words around it. Like the one that says language tools. And it has an area called translate text. And it gives me 24 languages to select from. So I type in, my name is Danny. I'm handsome, intelligent, and modest. English to Spanish. Translate. A billionth of a second later it says, mi nombre es Dani. Soy hermoso, inteligente y modesto. Instant free translation. How many of you didn't know that exists? Now, that teacher that doesn't speak the language of the parents of their kids has a way to communicate with those parents. I always have someone who's like, well, they don't consider context. Those things make mistakes. Yeah, obviously they make mistakes. A lot of people don't realize Beverly Hills, California, 30% of the population speaks Farsi. And so they used the translation program to translate a parent newsletter, and they were trying to boost school spirit. Well, the translation took the word spirit, and instead of interpreting it as in pep and cheer, it interpreted it as alcohol. So all these parents got this letter home saying, please boost the alcohol at this school. That's a funny example. But let me ask you this. Let's say you're a Korean parent, and you know for a fact your kid's teacher doesn't speak a word of Korean, but they sat down and took the time to translate that newsletter into Korean. Are you going to criticize their grammar, or are you going to be totally delighted that they took the opportunity to try and communicate with you? They're going to be delighted by that, impressed, because I have a theory. It's called Danny's theory. Danny's theory states that human beings are generally pretty cool. Recognize and honor cultural diversity. We live in the greatest country on the planet, folks. I am so proud to be an American. I am never prouder to be an American than during the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games. You ever watch the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games? I love it as the different countries come out to the stadium. You got Japan walking out, they all look Japanese. You got Norway coming out, they're all blonde hair, blue eyes. Then you got America walks out. Bunch of mutts. I mean, you can give me the biggest redneck going, USA, we're #1, we just won the gold medal, Christy Yamaguchi. We take diversity for granted in this country. That's why I have a problem with the standardization movement in America. I think Texas is fine the way it is. It shouldn't look like California. Our strength in this country is specifically that diversity, and we should be emphasizing that to the rest of the world all the time. That being said, that's why I think national education is a waste of time. I was doing a full-day ESL training in North Carolina a couple of months ago. And North Carolina's had the largest increase of any state in the ESL population, over 2,000% in the last 10 years. And this woman came up to me at the end of the day, she's like, what you don't understand, Dr. Brassell, is I teach in a Title I school, and I'm the only ESL teacher there. I just started laughing. She's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, honey, every school in Los Angeles is Title I, and you'd never say you're an ESL teacher. You'd say, oh, this year I have 2 kids that speak English in my class. I said, perspective is very important. I'm like, you think you have it tough? I worked with a first-grade teacher in Hollywood. She had 20 first graders, 19 different languages. You know, most I ever had was 7. I made the mistake of griping about it at a faculty meeting. One of my colleagues was like, 7? I got 9 in my class, and my dream of having 7. That's what they always say. And finally, emphasize quality of thought and expression versus accuracy. All of us look at the world from different points of view. Everybody look at me. Whisper to your neighbor what you think the picture looks like. Take about 7 seconds. Go. Raise your hand to see a woman. Raise your hand to see a saxophone player. Raise your hand to see something else. Well, turn it this way. Maybe you see a bird, like an Iowa hawkeye. There's its beak and its eye. Woo! Maybe you see a ray gun, trigger, and its handle. Oh! Turn the other way. Maybe you see a puffin dragon. Maybe you were puffing a dragon earlier. Or a funky spaceship. What's the correct answer, everybody? It all depends on your imagination. And obviously, it's futuristic telephone. All right, raise your hand if you enjoyed this presentation. Well, that's good. Raise your hand if you learned a thing or two. Even better. Raise your hand if you have a hand. Good. Turn to the folks around you and thank them for assisting your learning. So in this session, we discussed ways to meet standards without sacrificing student readiness, interest, and learning styles, examine tricks teachers may keep in mind when differentiating instruction, and we reviewed songs, games, and activities designed to meet the literacy needs of ELL students while boosting their academic vocabulary skills. I like something that Bruce once said. He said, the real art of discovery consists not in finding new lands, but in seeing with new eyes. The more we can get teachers to try and see their classrooms through the eyes of their students, the better we can get these teachers.